So, how's it so far?
It's great, it's good, but in my
Mhm.
opinion, it needs a little bit of pizzazz, if you get me. What
Yeah,
about you,
Okay.
Akmal?
I kind of agree with Nurin. The slide is good. It's colorful. It's sweet. But then I feel like it needs something.
So, you mean something like what?
Something like this.
Hello everyone, so today we're going to learn more about flavors, specifically the categories of flavors with me, Nurin Sabrina, today. So first of all, flavors are volatile chemical compounds that make you experience taste and odor. So for taste, you could relate it to a single class of compounds, while odor is the combination of volatile compounds that each have their own smells. For the first category that we have today, which are fruit flavors are sweet because of the sugars such as glucose, fructose, and sucrose, while the sourness that make you go, oh, is basically the organic acids such as citric and malate. While each fruit has different volatile components that contributes to its aroma and allows you to distinguish between each fruit. So for example, I could have an apple, I could have a pear, and I could go and be like, whoa, they're different. And next, we have vegetable flavors, and vegetable flavors are released when chopped or cooked. Some of the flavors that are responsible for your vegetable flavors are, for example, glycosides for celery and lettuce, and glucosinolates for cabbage and radishes. Since these flavors are volatile compounds, heat processes can change the flavor compounds itself. That's why when you boil vegetables, you shouldn't throw away the water because the water itself has flavors in it. Next, we have spice flavors. Spice flavors, not spice as in spicy, but spice as in cardamom and star anise have their own volatile compounds that give them that distinct aroma. For example, we have eugenol for cloves, cinnamaldehyde for cinnamon, and that cooling taste that you have on your tongue when you eat mint candy, that's actually menthol. And moving on, we have beverage flavors. Beverage flavors are divided into three. We have unfermented, fermented, and compounded. So for unfermented, we have milk, fruit, and vegetable juices, and the example is here, right here. This is the unfermented. And next we have fermented. Fermented is basically, the example for it is tea. So the flavor and color of tea is basically from the oxidation by enzymes, and while wine flavor also comes from fermentation, but even after fermentation during the aging process, the flavor from the wine barrel itself could seep into the wine and contribute to the development of more flavor. Next, we have compounded. Compounded is basically soft drinks and cordials. Cordials are basically blended by flavorists and are a distinct mix between natural and artificial flavors. Next, we have meat flavors. So meat flavors basically are developed during cooking, drying, and smoking. These heat processes are important to produce complex reactions between amino acids and sugars, which we call the Maillard reaction. So the ratio of amino acids, fatty acids, and sugars because of this Maillard reaction can really play a part in the flavors of meats. So next, we have fat flavors. So when we think of fats, we think of oil. When we think of oil, we think of frying. So when frying, the heat, fat, and food leads to the development of many flavors. So that's why when you fry with new oil, you have to put the old oil in as well to continue the development of flavors. And when it comes to fat flavors, it can also produce desirable and undesirable flavors because of the unsaturation in fats that could lead into oxidative cleavage. So next, we have cooked flavors, and cooked flavors are basically heating something in the presence of water. So these flavors change and new flavors are developed from non-volatile precursors. So the examples for cooked flavors are basically soups and broths. So next we have empyreumatic flavors. So empyreumatic flavors refers to being in a fire or usually smoky or that is hotter than a boiling pot of water. So in this category, we have non-water and water cooking and are usually divided into three. We have smoked, broiled, and roasted. So next, we have stench flavors. Stench flavors, which is the last category that we have today, they're basically strong aromas that can be developed during microbial growth, during fermentation, or spoilage of food. Even air oxidation could give a rancid note to foods that contain unsaturated lipids such as fish or soybeans. So that is all from me today. I hope you all learned a lot. So before moving on to the next category, I would like to have Loki here to say goodbye to every one of you. Bye bye. Bye. Oh. Oh no. Oh no.
Hi, so now you know the classification of flavor. What about the source of flavor? You see, flavor can either be natural or artificial. Both are identical in terms of major chemical compositions. However, they differ in terms of the source it came from. Let's look at a simple example whereby this ingredient is renowned in the dessert world: vanilla. Now we have two choices: vanilla extract, vanilla essence. One is natural and the other is artificial. This is vanillin, aka 4-hydroxy-3-methoxybenzaldehyde. It is the primary chemical compound of the extract of the vanilla bean. To make an artificial vanilla, we only have to mimic the chemical structure of vanillin synthetically. Let's see. Vanilla extract is obtained by curing vanilla beans. This procedure is very time-consuming and labor-intensive. Vanilla is an orchid that takes 3 years to mature and flower. Furthermore, it only blooms for 1 day. The farmers only have a day to pollinate the flower by hand, as it is a delicate procedure, in order to create vanilla pods. After harvesting the vanilla pods, it was then cured and fermented to develop the flavors. Lastly, the vanilla was dried and put into tightly sealed containers for final conditioning. Vanilla extract was made by steeping the vanilla beans in a mixture of water and ethyl alcohol. Simple. Now, what about vanilla essence, aka the synthetically made vanillin? It can be produced in different ways, such as 1. From a petrochemical raw material called guaiacol, 2. From lignin, which is obtained from waste produced in the paper manufacturing industry, 3. Secretions from a beaver's castor glands, 4. Clove oil, pine bark, or fermented bran, and lastly, cow dung. Yes, I said it, and the scientists even won an award for that discovery. Next, ethyl vanillin is also an artificial chemical that tastes like vanilla. In fact, it is 3 to 4 times as potent as vanillin. In the end, what matters is to convert the chemical structure of these different sources to achieve the same chemical structure as vanillin. Okay, now you already know the production of vanilla extract and vanilla essence, but do they also differ in terms of taste and cost? The answer is yes. Natural vanilla is creamy and rich, and it adds depth to any dish that bakers created. However, you can't be too hard on artificial vanilla because it is also suitable for baked goods in mass production, as it can add that subtle vanilla flavor. Lastly, let's take a look at the cost. Of course, the natural vanilla will be more expensive than the artificial one, but the question is how much? So I did my own research and compared the price of a company that sells vanilla extract and another company that sells vanilla essence. For vanilla essence, a 25ml bottle of it costs RM2.39 only, whereas a 50ml bottle of vanilla extract costs for RM35, which is more than 7 times more expensive than vanilla essence. Now that you have heard both sides of the story, comment below on which one would you choose, vanilla extract or vanilla essence. Oh, a banana.
Assalamualaikum. Hi everyone. So let's touch on the flavor development. There are 5 types of process involved: sugars, proteins, lipids, lignins, and as well as sulfur compounds. I'm sure everyone knows what caramelization is. It's basically where you heat sugars in a high temperature for a period of time and multiple compounds are formed, and these compounds are labeled as caramelized flavors. It will only be formed when it is heated in a range of 150 to 180 degrees Celsius, where water molecules are lost from the sugars and furfural is formed. An example for this process is candy making, as some candies are burned intentionally. Next is the amino acid thermal breakdown. The first category for this process is enzyme activation. Have you ever wondered why vegetable tastes good after it is blanched? Well, it's because the enzyme being activated during blanching, and this enzyme will use the indigenous RNA as a substrate, producing GMP, a flavor enhancer. The second category is protein pyrolysis. Grilled meat. It's delicious, all thanks to the formation of compounds when grilling. Protein pyrolysis is the thermal decomposition of proteins at a high temperature higher than 100 degrees Celsius. Next category is Maillard reaction. It is a mixture of both sugars, caramelization, and protein pyrolysis. It does not require high temperature to occur, but high temperature makes the reaction faster. The flavor compounds are produced at the crust of the food. Last on the amino acid thermal degradation is Strecker degradation. Strecker degradation is related to Maillard browning. Lipid thermal breakdown is the next process. It produces a rancid odor, and this process occurs in 3 steps: initiation, propagation, and termination. Do you know why some chefs are very particular on what wood they use during smoking their food? Well, it's because the process called thermal lignin degradation, where hemicellulose and lignin of the wood is burnt to produce flavor. The last process is the thermal reaction of sulfur compound. The best example for this is when cooking onion. You will normally cook onion using oil, because this way it will form more complex polysulfur when formed, compared to generally boiling them in water. How do we analyze flavor compounds? We use GCMS, gas chromatography mass chamber. GCMS is one of the many existing analytical methods that can be used to identify different substances within a test sample. We use GCMS because it is suitable for thermally stable volatile substances. It also conducts a qualitative and quantitative analysis, and also only small amount of sample is needed. Now, how does it work? GC is done to separate the components within the solvent, while MS is to analyze the components. GC works on the principle that a mixture will separate into individual substances when heated. The heated gases are carried through a column with an inert gas. As the separated substances emerge from the column opening, they flow into the MS, where it identifies the compound by mass of the analyte molecule and comparing it with a library of known mass spectra, which is stored in the computer.
Thank you guys for watching.
Hope you enjoyed the video.
Do share this video with your friends to share the knowledge, and do like and comment and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye.